The skies over Pensacola Beach unusually quiet over the weekend with the Blue Angels grounded due to budget cuts and sequestration. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, he's hot about this, says the cancellation of the Blue Angels season is not only painful for Pensacola, but it's symbolic of a government that has its priorities out of order. Stephen Moore, senior economic writer, Wall Street Journal, and Stephen, good morning to you. Rubio is hot on fire on this, but it seems to be you can take the Blue Angels and think about the cutbacks with Blue Angels, no more shows for now, and really make this bigger in terms of the symbolism for how the federal government made these decisions on what to cut and where.
Yeah, I think.
Go.
I think there's a lot of symbolism here. And remember, we've had a lot of semi-scandals with respect to how the sequester has been handled over the last 3 months. Bill, you've covered these stories. The White House tourism office being closed down. And remember, we had a few days of the air traffic control system being almost ground to a halt, and some of the national parks being either shut down or hours closed. And I think this is the latest in these kind of outrages. You know, I looked at the budget, Bill, for the Blue Angels. It's about a $40 million program, and that's a tiny fraction of, obviously, as you know, the $500 billion a year Pentagon budget. Now, I'll confess, I have a soft place in my heart for the Blue Angels. Every year, my kids and I go out to Andrews Air Force Base here in Washington, and we watch them, and it's just a glorious day. And by the way, it builds a lot of support for the military, so I think this is very short-sighted.
This is what Rubio's saying. It costs $28 million, according to his figures.
Right.
That's less than 1% of the total cuts made to the Navy's operating budget in the 2013 budget year.
Yeah, and my point, Bill, is, and I think Senator Rubio agrees with this, is you're cutting one of the most high-profile, popular items of the military. Everybody loves to go see the Blue Angels, and it actually is a kind of dedication to the the great military prowess that we have in this country. I find it to be somewhat of a kind of ploy, a stunt, if you will, by the Obama administration to again bring pressure on Congress to stop the sequester.
Well, kind of like the White House tours, then, you would argue.
Exactly.
I think it's a lot of people can see it.
That's right. And here's the point. Look, I'm very pro-national defense, but I would say this. There is a lot of waste in the Pentagon. I mean, the Pentagon's just a couple of miles from where I sit. You know, it's one of the biggest bureaucracies. They could be cutting some of the bureaucracy.
But that's the point. That's the point. You don't make the right priorities. That's the point that Rubio's making here.
And he's exactly right about that. I mean, this is something that I think is very popular with the public. It builds support for our military. And there's so many other ways you could cut billions of dollars of waste in the Pentagon
He's
budget.
talking about building a $34 million complex in Afghanistan, knowing that, the administration is going to take the military out of that country. One more point here. In the last hour alone, we were told that the Thunderbirds will fly again. I think they're based out of Virginia. Did you see that story?
I had not heard that, but I am that made my day, Bill, because I love the Thunderbirds too, and they're part of the, the exhibits that go all over the country, everywhere from Chicago to, they fly over New York City, and it's a wonderful thing. And again, I think it's something that Americans like to see how their tax dollars are being spent.
I got you. Well, so if they made a reversal on the Thunderbirds, we'll see whether or not the Blue Angels and Marco Rubio get their way in Pensacola. Thank you, Stephen.
Well, that's why it's good you brought attention to this. By the way, tell Martha the last thing we need is another King George from Britain. Okay?
We're told that this will be a good one, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.